Greetings, YouTube. So, California has just passed a law that says that you cannot require a driver's license for a job that doesn't require driving. Now, that would seem to make perfect sense to most folks. But in the past, businesses across the United States would say that you must have a driver's license to hold this job, even if the job didn't require driving. Why? It was a way of filtering out disabled people without actually saying we're filtering out disabled people. People who have vision, for mobility issues as far as motor reflexes, they're in a wheelchair, and the company vehicle doesn't have hand controls. Some types of autism will require that give difficulty, of course, visual problems, things like that. And it was just a great way for them to just dodge that bullet because they can't say, "Oh, we're not going to give you this job because you're disabled," because that would get them in a hell of a lot of trouble. At least it was until recently. With the Trump administration now in power, who knows what's going to happen? Um, very similar thing is sometimes they would say that you had to get a job, you had to like lift a 75-pound object or something, because again, a means of filtering out folks who are disabled. Because if you can't lift that thing, obviously you can't do this job, even though that job will never entail you lifting up an object that weighs that much ever. It was a means of filtering out people who have disabilities. Um, and it makes perfect sense. And I think should be a national policy. There's no reason that you have someone whose job is takes place in one building to have a driver's license. They don't ever leave the building. When I go to work at night, I punch in and I don't punch out, leave the building until I go home. That's it. You can look at the records on the doors. I go in and out once, twice, boom, done. In, out. So yeah, having a driver's license would not be a requirement of my job. However, to get to my job, the most convenient way to get there is with the vehicle, with driving, because our transportation system, as in most places in America, is abysmal. We essentially don't have one. It exists in a very skeletal sense, but yeah, it's not what you'd call useful, particularly if you work at night. So yes, I'm thrilled that California's done this. I hope that it spreads far and wide because it should. Um, Lots of people on the right are all about, if you don't work, you don't deserve food or housing, or you don't deserve an education, you don't deserve health care. And yet they'll do everything in their power to put as many obstacles as possible in the path of people becoming employed. No public transportation, no subsidized child care, yada yada. Accreditation that costs money instead of just giving people the training they need so that they can do the jobs they want to do. So on the one hand, they'll bitch about everything under the sun because again, it means that they feel good about castigating people for failing to have the same life experiences they do. But then they also will make sure that they don't give them the programs they need to then, mitigate those issues. No, because they're bigots and they don't want disabled people and poor people and immigrants and such to have decent paying jobs. They don't want people who are in the lower class to ever get to be above the poverty line. They like you being there. They can exploit you that way. So here's California making a step in the right direction. Now let's hope that every other state follows because there are lots of jobs you don't need a driver's license for. You shouldn't have to be required to have one, and a non-driver's ID should be free. So that's my stance on the whole ID thing. How about you?